Back to our 12-week series on our REI 101. This week, our fourth week of our REI 101 series is short-term rentals versus long-term rentals. Thank you guys for showing up. Look at you coming in. It's our fourth week. We're a third of the way through. I'm going to keep it short and simple because, I'm popping in and out of meetings. And, this is really a topic that's really important as we continue to grow our team and teach not only our agents how to advise our clients, but being able to actually advise our clients on some of the opportunities that they have when they purchase a house and they have the opportunity to turn it into an investment property, right? This could be a single family residence. It can be a multi-family, duplex, fourplex, and even up higher. But right now, we're just discussing the basics, right? The 101. And these are topics that are going to help you maybe trigger an idea or something to look further into and how you want to pursue in growing your legacy and building your wealth. So it's not just about making the money. It's about keeping it and protecting it, right? And so when you follow these, just simple guidelines that are able to help guide you, and you're able to find your people and your team, you'll be able to move confidently, right? And then with the experience, you'll be able to do it over and over and over again. So now, week 4, you understand by now that real estate investment is a mindset. I've said this a couple of times, but now, you got your property. And we've seen this all the time. You have a property and now you want to know how to turn it into an investment property. Should you turn it into an Airbnb? Or what kind of rental is going to best suit your needs? And that's what we're discussing today. Short-term rentals versus long-term rentals. Well, what are the differences? Well, think of it this way. Your short-term rentals or your Airbnbs, right? There's going to be a quick turnaround. So think of hospitality, think of hotels, think of places that you stay when you go on vacation and you have to stay somewhere, right? Or maybe you have stayed in a few Airbnbs yourself and you understand, right? Is there Wi-Fi? Is there towels? Are there certain things that are going to help you more comfortable with your stay? And if it's not, then you usually have a telephone number to call, right? In a short-term rental, an Airbnb. This is what you think of. Now, long-term rentals, you're thinking of more stability. You're thinking maybe long-term, right? So you know as much as I do, if you've ever rented either an apartment or a house, you know that they typically want something that's going to be a little bit longer, a longer commitment, anywhere from 6 months to 12 months. And with this, maybe you're not going to be on call as much, right? You still give your tenants your telephone number, but in case of emergencies, in case there's plumbing issues or, something happens like the AC goes out or something like that. There are key differences between a long-term rental and a short-term rental and what is going to better suit you. So as you become the landlord and not the tenant, right? Because it's a mind switch, then you have to understand the key differences on how you want to pursue with your tenants and what that looks like. So think about short-term rentals. It's a daily, weekly stays. It's very short-term. Airbnbs, quick turnaround. So you're thinking, quick cleaning fees and all these other things. There's high volatility, right? So you have to be on call. If somebody or something doesn't have something that they need, you might receive a call in the middle of the night compared to a long-term rental, which, they might wait until the morning or whatnot. There's high exposure. When you're doing a short-term rental, you need a quick turnaround. You need to be able to market yourself. You need to be able to put yourself in a position where you can get in front of renters, right? Of vacationers. Long-term renters, they're a little bit more stable in regards to if there's, less volatility, right? Because we know that if you're not renting your house furnished, and they're bringing all of their stuff in, then they have a little bit more liability that you can put on the actual tenant than if it's just a quick stay, a quick turnaround. So I'm glad you guys are getting it. See, this is just, this is just a 101, a quick review, and what you are going to do when you get your investment property. So think about it this way. Long-term renters, right? They're a little bit more stable. Would probably be better if you are, in any home in any other market, but you want to be sure that you have a stable tenant. What does that look like? Maybe a better screening process, right? Think of it this way: depending on where your market is and your house is going to determine the renter. So, you have to be mindful of what type of renter is going to be in your property. Obviously, you could do the whole credit check thing. You can do whatever the book says, but you can also get in front of these people because you, as well as I do, we all know that hard times happen to good people. So we want to be sure that whoever we are renting to, maybe it's not just a credit score, right? Maybe it's a higher deposit, or maybe it's maybe it's something else that triggers something within you and the actual renter to be able to make that agreement. So just think of it this way: if it's a long-term renter, you want them to be in your property, a while. You maybe want them to take care of your property as they would their own home. So think of a place where, there's a lot more stability that you might want to be able to bring your tenant in and be able to create that space. But I do want you to understand and know that transparency is everything. So you want to make sure that you have that with your client or with your tenant. Everything is upfront. You have the proper contracts in place, and you're doing the things. There's a lot of places that you can get samples of contracts in. I'm sure you can Google and be able to find something really, really easily. But in regards to, helping or having somebody help you in property management, there's going to be fees associated with that. So maybe on your first property, you might want to consider doing everything yourself, just so that way you have the experience, right? That way you know exactly what the process is, how to go through it. And so when you get to a point where you do hire a property management company, you're able to understand the numbers on a level that you may not be able to if you don't do it yourself. So experience is key in anything, and it all takes starting with your first property, right? So thinking about short-term rental versus long-term rentals and what that's going to look like for you. What is the short-term rental lifestyle for your investors? It's going to be a lot of hands-on owners who value maximizing current cash flow and are comfortable with high management demands. So think of it this way: if you are working with a client and they are okay with those types of high demands, I promise you, I work with clients and investors who actually purchase properties to turn them in to Airbnbs. They're a little bit on the more luxury side of Airbnbs, but this is a beautiful way to make money. It's not, it's not a get rich quick, but it's definitely a way to make supplemental income. Okay, long-term rentals are more for legacy investors, owners who focus more on generational wealth and minimal day-to-day involvement and long-term security and appreciation, right? When you own this property in a house for a long-term rental or long-term rental, you're thinking about having a tenant stay possibly for 5+ years, right? Who wouldn't want that? for somebody to be able to basically pay all of the bills, and you just accumulate appreciation and tax benefits, right? This is what I'm talking about. But short-term rentals, also, I was just speaking to one of our advisors on this. There's actual LLCs that people put in place for short-term rental businesses, and you can do something that's called subleasing or sandwich leasing, as they like to call it, where you can do several of apartments and in complexes. You can make referral. You can have contracts with, not all apartment complexes, so don't come at me, but with some apartment complexes, just depending on your area and the fine print, you can basically sublease furnished apartments and utilize them as Airbnbs for that multifamily unit project that you have affiliations with. But these are the types of things and businesses that people may not be aware that they can actually do. If that is your cup of tea, just know that there are options in real estate investing without even owning a property. Okay. I want you to understand that there are opportunities out there for you with grace and obviously with with all of the things that you're supposed to, with integrity and all of these other things that come along with it. But there are ways and opportunities that you can actually get into real estate investing without owning a property and without putting any money down. So I want you to understand what your options are. And if you've gotten any value out of any of our content, then definitely let me know. I want to know. I want to know what is driving you towards that real estate investing. What's stopping you towards going and hitting your goals, right? So we want to understand. We want to clarify, we want to identify, and we want to be able to help serve you in a way that maybe you may not have been able to get anywhere else. We are not a typical real estate team. We are here to guide our clients into real estate investing, right? When you purchase a property, you purchase an asset that could potentially help you make perpetual money, right? When you purchase a house, we purchase homes with the understanding that this is going to be in our family for a very long time, and we will likely, build equity and be able to do a lot with it. So this is just a small inclination of the bigger picture of where you can really, really take this. And we want to be here for you. So Real Estate Investing 101, week 4. You've just gotten through it. Long-term real estate versus short-term rentals versus long-term rentals. What do you think is better for you? I personally like the longer term. Like, put me in a stable community. Let me have a few long-term rentals and we'll take care of some stuff, right? Me personally, I like to do in the bigger asset side, so the commercial side, but we definitely have to start somewhere. And single family residence is definitely the low barrier entry into real estate investing. So let me know. What did you think about this? Do you have any more questions? Do you want to schedule a call? Do you want to know what's happening in Phoenix real estate market? You guys, we're all over the place, so feel free to follow us on Instagram at She Sold AC, same handle. Jessica Bajorquez on LinkedIn or Facebook, and you click the link in my bio and schedule your call. Always happy to discuss real estate and my love language. So thank you guys for joining in. We'll see you guys next week on Real Estate Investing 101, where we might have somebody coming in to teach you another wonderful strategy. All right, you guys, take care. Have a wonderful week.